G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. Well, let's jump into the latest. This is a wraparound of some of the most interesting information in the image creation world in the last week or so. First, I want to talk about DJI. Well, not only have they released the amazing new drone just a week or so ago, but now they're going into audio. The DJI mic. Now, it is coming in December or maybe in early January. We're not quite sure at this point in time. It is $329 US, around 500 Australian dollars. And this is basically, well, I've got and used a lot of different wireless mic systems to go along with our cameras and wherever else you use them. And by the look of it, from the videos I've watched, because a few people have preview copies, I've probably watched 3 videos, this absolutely looks like the best iteration of this type of device we have seen so far. Its closest competitor is the Rode Wireless Go 2, which is a great unit. It's probably about a year old now, maybe not quite that old, and it had a lot of awesome features in it. Well, DJI have taken it up, not just a notch, but I reckon about 3 notches. Anyway, this is coming soon. If you're interested in potentially the best on-the-go wireless package, it could well be DJI mic as of the end of this year. I will get my hands on one of these because I use these mics almost every day, testing it against a whole handful of these mics that I've been sent over the last year, and I really haven't had a meaningful opportunity to test them all, but that is now coming soon. And next I want to talk about Panasonic and the GH6. Now, the GH4 and the GH5 have been immensely popular cameras over quite a long period of time, and now we have the imminent arrival of the GH6, which was talked about pre-released earlier this year. Just to reiterate some of the specs, some of the highlight specs that we're expecting from this camera, that includes the fact that there's going to be a new Micro Four Thirds sensor, an updated Venus Engine image processing unit, as well as shooting 5.7K 60p at 10-bit sampling. It will be able to do DCI 4K 10-bit 422 unlimited recording. That's pretty epic. And it will be able to do UHD 4K 120p with 10-bit in HFR. This is really sounding like quite a competent little camera in a small package. So if you're happy to have a sensor that is less than 35mm, this could be the camera to go for. It's certainly got a lot in it, and the current approximate price is $2,500 US. So it's super affordable as well. The GH6 from Panasonic coming very soon. Next, from Viltrox, we have the announcement of 3 restyled Z-mount lenses. Now, this is the AF23 1.4, the AF33 1.4, and the AF56 1.4. Now, these are all APS-C lenses. Of course, they can be used on full-frame cameras, and they will be cropped. But Viltrox is going to make them in silver. Now, Viltrox have done a little bit of a thing of making things in different colours. I quite like this idea. I think it's good. And these are good little lenses. So keep your eye out for those if you'd like to put a silver lens on the front of your ZFC or your Z50 or your anything Z. I just want to do a quick shout out. You might not have seen it in my previous video. I do have this 50mm 1.2 from Meike. It's a fully manual lens. This has just arrived and I've had a bit of a play and a bit of a look at it, and I'm pretty impressed so far. Anyway, more coming on that lens soon. And in Fuji rumours, there is a rumour that the X-H2 system may well come in 2 megapixel sizes. There is still the suggestion that one of them will be a 40 megapixel camera. Now that's 40 megapixels crammed into obviously an APS-C sized sensor. That's a lot of pixels, so they're going to be doing something really cool there. But the suggestion is there will be another resolution. My guess is it probably won't be higher, it's probably going to be lower. Anyway, this is a camera that we're expecting next year, and the rumor also, although I don't think it's a rumor, I think it was stated at the Fuji announcement for their cameras a few months ago that it would be stacked sensor technology. So really interesting that Fuji are creating two versions. Look, the camera market is really heating up in every direction at the moment. And in further Nikon news, DP Review has announced the Z9 as their product of the year. DP Review say that the Z9 is the most DSR-like mirrorless camera that they have ever experienced. And they're saying that this is largely due to the blackout-free EVF. They love the fact that there's the return of 3D tracking, and they're also blown away by the fact that the Z9 has now become such an astonishingly good video platform. Now, can I say, shooting with the Z6, the Z7, the Z6 II, the Z7 II, and so on, all the other Zs so far, I find the video platform very, very good. We're shooting on it here now, a Z6, the original version. The system works super well. Now, does it work for very fast objects super well? Perhaps not. But in a great number of situations, and for example, how much TV news and documentary is made every year, tons and tons and tons and tons of it, the Z system as it stands right now today is extraordinary. And with the Z9, Nikon have taken it to the next level when it comes to AF and speed and resolution and RAW and pretty much everything that you could want. It absolutely is now the benchmark for the mirrorless hybrid camera system video platforms, and of course coming in cheaper than the R3 and the Sony A1. And in further news, DP Review gave the Sony A1 high-end camera of the year. And you know, in a way it's for a lot of the similar reasons, but of course the main differences are the Z9 and the A1 are very, very similar in many specifications, but the A1 is a smaller body, which allows you to attach or detach a vertical grip. And of course, yes, it does shoot 30 frames a second instead of 20 frames a second in RAW, but I do know that that 30 frames a second in RAW does have some limitations in the Sony. It's not giving you absolutely everything. I also think, deep down, I think there's a chance, based on everything we're hearing and seeing about the Z9, that it might be more of a camera in the future. Who knows if something like that will happen in the future, that it can be upgraded. Nikon are open about the fact that we are getting multiple firmware upgrades next year in regards to enhancing features. Now, they've talked about enhancing video features, but they can enhance any features that they want if the hardware's there to do it. We just don't know. So, you know, the Z9 hasn't even shipped yet, and we certainly don't think that this is the end of the Z9 story. I think we're reaching a time and place in the industry where, like mobile phones, for example, you can buy an iPhone, I don't know what, let's say an iPhone 8, and you're still putting the latest operating system on it today, 6 years later. So perhaps cameras are going to be the same, that for years to come. And as I said in a previous video, we just got a Z6 firmware update now over 3 years after those cameras were released. Why is it that we can't continue to get Z9 updates for the next 3 years? So I think we need to think of our cameras moving forward as they become more solid state, and the Z9 is the absolute pinnacle of that, where it doesn't have a shutter, which is a physical obstacle that it needs to worry about. It's now shutter free. So of every camera on the market, it now has the most potential to be updated in firmware because its hardware lacks a lot of physical moving part limitations. And the only limitation I see is the sensor read speed and how quickly it can get the data to the RAM or the buffer, to the card, and the processors. That's it. And right now, we really don't have a true understanding of how fast that actually is relative to everything else in the market. It's a computer. I think it's going to be upgraded for a long time to come. I wouldn't get too fixated right now on 20 frames a second, 30 frames a second, whatever frames a second. There's a chance in my mind that these things are not fixed. Who knows? Because the shutter, there's no physical shutter. We'll find out. The other reason I've contemplated this is they're talking about 8K RAW 60, and well, that's a lot of information. That is a lot of data that they're throwing around. And if that's the case, I think mathematically higher frame rates in RAW would be possible. Just do the maths. think the zeros and ones are there to handle it. So I think we need to watch this space. And DP Review have also stated that the Sony A7 IV is their stills and video camera of the year, best stills and video camera. And this is for all the obvious reasons. It's got a 33 megapixel sensor. It shoots 4K up to 60 frames per second in 10-bit. It is obviously a great all-rounder of a camera. I'm yet to know anything about this camera myself personally, only what I've seen in the reviews. So I look forward to getting my hands on one at some point, just to see what it feels like. Moving right along to further Sony news, Sony have actually come out and told the world that there is an impact, a real impact to the chip shortages. This is what Sony says. The impact of the shortage of semiconductors and parts is more serious than expected. And this is from the Japanese Nikkei magazine. And just a few small quotes. Sony has decided to suspend orders for some digital cameras. This is because their main products are out of stock. There's no way to solve the shortage of parts. They are having, and it says here in this article, they are having to fight for parts, including competition from Nikon, which may affect year-end sales season at the time of suspending sales of some of these cameras. Sony says that the impact is more serious than expected and wants to alleviate the feeling of shortage at stores by narrowing down production of new products. So basically what they're going to do is reduce their SKUs, and that means reduce the number of products that they sell, so that if they don't sell a product, then they don't have to say it's out of stock. Well, it's logical, you know. I can't go to a retailer here to see if I can buy a PlayStation. They don't have stock, so they don't even have it on their website. They have the games and controllers and other things, but I literally cannot find the PlayStation on their website. They don't have stock, so they're doing now the same thing here with their cameras. Sony says, we will try to minimize the impact by standardization of parts and increasing inventory by reviewing the design. But we do not know when this problem will be resolved. And here are 5 items that have been suspended. This includes the A7 II series of cameras, the A6400 series of cameras, the A6100 cameras, the PXW Z190 professional 4K camcorder, and the ECM B1M shotgun microphone. So that's 5 products that are currently suspended from sale due to chip shortages, global chip shortages, and just general parts shortages. So honestly, this is really a problem. And Sony is stating here it's worse than they thought it was, and it kind of feels like there's no horizon around this. I feel like this is going to be affecting every manufacturer. I mean, we already know that, but I think what we're getting here is an even more serious picture of how it's affecting the electronics world. So everybody, don't be surprised if this doesn't affect your favorite brand as well. Doesn't matter what that brand is, it sounds like these things are hard to come by. And in other very sad news, we have lost a great photographer, Mick Rock, known as the man who captured the 70s. Unfortunately, he has passed away at the age of 72, and he has photographed many iconic musicians, including the late, great David Bowie. Let's all bow our heads for a moment for Mick Rock. I'd love to know your thoughts about that and everything else in the latest today. Fantastic to see you, and if this is your first time here, I would love to see you again, so please do subscribe. Do share and do like, it helps us so much. I'd love you to subscribe. I'd love to get to 30,000 by the end of the year. It's a bit of a fantasy, it's a bit of a stretch, but you know, we can only try. And about 50% of the people out there are not subscribed, so please just hit on the subscribe button, that'd be amazing. Channel membership, merch, link below, all good. See you soon. Bye for now.